There comes a point in a person's life when he or she says, "Enough is enough," said Lance Armstrong. And I couldn't agree more. It is many a time noticed that there are only certain people who are, in a way, exploited and asked to do heavy lifting. Tolerance, as a word, often means endurance. But in relationships, tolerance may have a connotation where it is not the most healthy thing to tolerate. On the contrary, tolerance may be acceptance, a resignation of sorts, and maybe leading you to spread yourself too thin. Welcome. Welcome to today's episode of how to recognize if you are being taken for granted. I repeat, to recognize if you're being taken for granted. Some pointers. 1. You find yourself bombarded with asks from everyone significant. Your friends and family rely on you to constantly do the heavy lifting even when others are available. But those others slyly showcase unavailability, or worse still, showcase the fact that they are unable in comprehending and understanding things that need to be solved for. You would have heard in organizations that 80% of the work is done by 20% of the people. Alas, this also applies to families and friends. If you find yourself being in the 20%, maybe, just maybe, you are being taken for granted. When you find yourself doing all the heavy lifting and don't hear any appreciation, recognition, or even a simple thank you for what you've done, maybe you're again leaning towards something where you are constantly being asked to uplift others, often at a cost to you. These others show no acknowledgement of your efforts. In fact, there is no regret or remorse either to showcase what they see you doing. In a way, it's a kind of an acceptance or a belief that you and only you have to shoulder the responsibility and the burden for all the asks that the family or some friends may have. 3. You constantly feel exhausted and overwhelmed. That means you're constantly juggling too much, have possibly spread yourself too thin, haven't drawn boundaries or pushed back. And then you find yourself all the time tired, being unable to do the things that maybe these others who haven't taken responsibility for their part in the relationship and who are constantly enjoying the free time. Which comes to point 4. You're always grudgeful and resentful of others' free time. This grudge and resentment does not come because you are a resentful person, but because you have realized that there is too much on your plate. That free person or those free people are going about doing whatever they like, whether it's scrolling on Facebook, having coffees, breakfast, chatting endlessly on the phone, having the time to work out and look a particular way, while you constantly feel that you're compromised. You don't have the time of day to build relationships because you're just never available. So, please keep these 4 pointers in mind. If you find yourself grudgeful and resentful of others, maybe it's time for you to recognize that you are being taken for granted. If you feel constantly burdened with no time for yourself, therefore feeling overwhelmed and constantly exhausted, maybe again it's something for you to notice. And when you recognize that there's no appreciation or acknowledgement or recognition for what you do, and there is no sensitivity to your contribution, and also you feel that you belong to the 20% of the people who constantly do the heavy lifting, maybe you're tolerating too much. If you like what you hear, please do hit the like button. Please do share my video, and of course continue to write to me at varkha@varkhachulani.com. Till next week, it's goodbye and thank you.